Is it red?
Yeah.
All right, hello. We're live
Yes, we are.
on location
Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo.
at Nigel's cocktail bar in Kamloops, BC, underneath Redbeard Cafe on Hill Road.
That's right.
And we are here with Mitch Forgie
Hello.
to talk about this cool little spot. So what can you tell us about this place?
Yeah, so we're just a little speakeasy. We're located, like you said, under Redbeard. So you just come in and you go to the bathroom, and it looks like a supply closet. You open the door, and all of this is behind it.
Yeah.
Wow.
We only seat about 26 people, so it's sort of a great place for a date, or a double date. Come up for a couple of cocktails, have a couple of appies, and yeah, that's what we've been doing for about 3 years now.
So is it with that kind of limited seating? We talking reservations? We talking just sort of drop in? How does it work?
The first 2 years, you basically needed a reservation in order to get in, and but then I think now that a lot of people have been through the door and people have tried it out, you can just show up and maybe you might wait 15-20 minutes or you might go right in. It's hard to say. Yeah.
So how did this get started? What was the sort of the initial spark of the idea, the evolution of it?
We actually took out the building permit for it in 2016, but it was one of those things where I just sort of worked on building it as I had free time. So just a few hours here, a few hours there, and so we opened. Well, we opened right before COVID hit in 2020.
Great timing.
That's good luck.
Yeah, really good luck. And basically, like, the sort of speakeasy cocktail bar is just a very popular thing in big cities all over the place. And because we have this big basement that we pay rent on but don't use for anything, we thought, why not try this out and see if it works here?
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all.
So, I don't know. I don't have anything. That was the inspiration.
That was the inspiration.
I like cocktails.
Right. Well, it seems like, cocktails have been sort of an increasing trend over the last few years, which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean, it brings to drinks a lot like what food, chefs bring to food.
Yeah.
You have a lot of ingredients that you can sort of mix and match, and it's kind of amazing how often you can make something that's greater than the sum of its parts. And I think a lot of people get into bartending at home and they have an amateur interest in cocktails, and then they realize why cocktails are expensive very quickly. Because, if it's $40 to $60 to $70 for a bottle of whatever spirit you want to use or liqueur, and you open your little book like this guy, I won't show the front, and you go, oh, this looks like a really interesting cocktail, and you open it up and it lists 8 ingredients, and you're like, I don't have any of those things. And then
Is that your Bible? Oh. Is that your bartender Bible?
This one is from a cocktail bar in San Francisco. That's sort of tiki themed. And so we use that one for inspiration. But yeah, we have 4 bartenders that work here, and so we often just mess around with different ingredients.
You create your own?
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
And if you see a copy of our menu here, this is what our menu looks like. This is a local artist named Clement put this together.
That's a great image.
I think I know him.
Yeah, he's an awesome dude, and so I wanted him to do some sort of special artwork for the menu down here. And he said, well, with your budget, what you can do is borrow my sketchbooks and find something you like and photocopy it.
I love that suggestion, though, because you've got all that art there that he's created that isn't being used for anything,
yeah.
So.
And so we found this, and he just couldn't believe that this was the image that we chose.
So what is it about that spoke to you?
Well, we got, the more, after 3 years, the more we've looked at it, the more sort of interesting it becomes. We got a little farm back here with a cactus. We got, it appears to be underwater because this guy's swimming down to this turkey.
That's He-Man.
Is it?
It could be.
Yeah.
He's got the haircut.
Yeah.
That sounds like Clement. He would do something like that. But, this massive turkey with a spring leg is getting ridden by a giraffe in a thing with an on switch.
It's either a massive turkey or a very small giraffe, or both.
Or both. Yeah, he's got, I don't know what even that is.
I think that might be a sausage.
Yeah, it appears to be steaming for some reason. And then there's a man with a briefcase, spirit in his other sort of
perhaps a door-to-door sausage salesman.
So it's an image that just keeps on giving. And
really is.
But this isn't actually the full menu, but you can see on the specials here. So CL is Kat LaPointe, so she works here as a bartender. MF is me, and so there's a lot of MFs on this specials list.
MFs, hey?
I was working
A lot of
last week.
MFers.
And and so we take different ingredients, we mix them together. A lot of what happens, we'll just have a little cup here. We're like, what do we put those to? And you sort of, it's like a little alchemy. See how it works. And
so, what's your biggest hit, in your opinion?
Geez, we've had a few. We had one this year called Yuzu Margarita. There's a famous brandy company that releases a yuzu infused curacao every year, and yuzu is like a type of citrus fruit from Japan, and they get late harvest ones. They're super, super sweet, and we made a margarita out of that with an Earl Grey syrup.
Ooh.
And that was super popular this season. Our variation on a Negroni is always super popular. We have one called Shark Attack, where we take New Orleans style bitters, and they're like bright red, and then they float on the top, and it kind of looks like there's blood in the water. That's popular, but yeah, we have about 18 to 20 of our own unique cocktails on the menu at any given time, and then they change all the time as we get different ingredients in. But yeah, home bartenders, they can't access, well, unless they have a lot of money. It's very difficult to access, so many different types of alcohol to be able to play around with them. And so I'd say most of the people who come out here are themselves amateur bartenders. So they're very excited.
Just wanting to sort of...
Can I try that?
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
That's inspiring that, you get other bartenders excited about your business.
Yeah.
That says something that you're doing something right.
Totally. And we do like stand-ins as well. So bartenders from other bars around town will come in, and then they'll bartend for the night and come up with their own recipes while they're here. So last spring we did one with Gin Lane from downtown.
Oh yeah.
This April 11th we have Sons of Vancouver from Vancouver coming up, and they'll be taking over the bar. And that's like a very popular thing in bar culture, is to have trade bartenders around the world, and then you kind of learn from what they're doing and what they're interested in, things that they've had success with, and then they learn from you in terms of things that you're interested in, ingredients that you might have, things like your bar layout and how that's working for you, that sort of thing.
What would you say, speaking of these sort of amateur bartenders, the home bartenders, like, what is sort of a bare minimum of alcohols that you need to even sort of get started, do you think?
Yeah, I think there's a famous Instagram magazine for the industry, and I think they say it's sort of like 20 bottles.
Wow.
And because you sort of like, you need a gin, a whiskey, some vermouth, some liqueurs, rum for sure, and then like categories like rum are huge. Like I think we have 16 different rums.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. You probably need at least a few different rums.
Yeah, I think we have 3 different tequilas. I think we have about 11 mezcals. And some of them are wild. Like and then pisco is something we've been really interested in, which is basically a Peruvian brandy. And so there's this. We stock one company that has single grape varieties. So. And then normally when you're making a spirit, they distill it to 100% and then they water it down. And what these guys do is they only distill it to 40 and they leave all those rough edges in.
Oh, interesting.
But it gives it like this super grapey character. And of course, because each one's made from a different grape, it's just like wine, where one might taste like gooseberries and another tastes like walnuts. And we just got one in this week that's like very walnut and like dark cranberry forward. And so we're infusing it with lime peels right now. For a menu item that's going to be on Thursday. We're going to try to do sort of like a springtime, like lime-infused Pisco Negroni.
Right. I was about to say every season you probably get inspired to create something new and.
Yeah, very much so. And lots of, especially like in the BC liquor industry, there's lots of distilleries that are foraging different berries, foraging different roots, making liqueurs out of those, and then they release them once a year, and then we always just try to jump on board and get those. Yeah.
Right. Now you were mentioning before, I don't know if we caught it on stream or not, but there's only, is it 5 more nights to catch Nigel's this season?
That's right.
So what are those dates?
So we're open this coming Friday, which is the 22nd.
Okay.
We have an industry night on the Monday, which is the 25th. And so you don't actually have to be in the bar industry to come to the industry night. But we just call it industry night because only people who work in the industry like to go out on Monday nights.
Gotcha.
Because it's our weekend,
yeah.
Right.
And and then we're open the following Friday, which I think is the 29th. And then we're open April 11th and 12th for that Sons of Vancouver takeover.
Right.
So that's it.
And that's the Friday, Saturday.
That's the Friday, or that's Thursday, Friday, actually.
Thursday, Friday. Okay.
Yeah, we like to do it on a Thursday because there's a more chill night for people to come who really want to like dive deep into the cocktails, and then the Friday's the livelier night of people coming in and out a lot, and it being a lot more fast paced.
and then it's a break until fall. presumably?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be, we typically reopen in October as soon as it starts to get kind of cool again. And we share, because we share staff with other bars, typically as soon as like spring starts to make everybody busy, everybody would rather work at their normal job.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Maybe not rather, but their jobs would rather them work at their normal job. And even for me, it's like I get busy and honestly, like we're open for whatever that is, 6-7 months of the winter, and we get so excited about it. But by this time of the year, we start thinking about the garden, and we're like thinking about the patio, and we're excited about that again. And then in October, I'm like praying for frost. I'm like, kill the stupid garden. I don't want to weed anymore. I don't want to water anything anymore. I just kill the stupid garden. And then by this time, I'm all excited again.
It's your fault that fall and winter come.
Yeah.
It's your fault.
You conjure them.
Yeah.
So the history of the name too. I seem to recall there's an interesting story to the name.
So we're called Nigels, and originally I wanted to call it the Rusty Beaver because we're under the red beard. And there's a bit of a heritage in the cocktail culture of sort of dirty names,
double entendre
names, and however, my wife and my mom told me that I would be disowned and divorced if we went that way.
So I kind of dig the name.
And so that our house Negroni is still called that.
Oh, no.
And but
so you snuck it in somewhere.
I did, of course. And then under the floor here, we were putting the plumbing in for the bar, and my wife's fish died at that time, and his name was Nigel, and so we buried him under the floor, and so when you come in on the menu, it says Nigel is under your feet.
I did mention that when we turned on our camera, I said there's an orb.
Did we catch a
Nigel!
ghostly glimpse of Nigel?
Oh, cute.
It's a little beta fish cruising around.
Wow.
And I mean, obviously, because speakeasies have their heritage in Prohibition, like this would have been a super illegal activity, a really gangster thing to be doing.
Yeah.
And so we thought it would lend to that gangster.
Were you
attitude.
looking to the 1920s vibe?
Yeah, I mean, definitely some places play that up, and we have an element of that in here. But we wanted it to be a distinctly modern space, so like we play rap music and techno, and it's loud, and we didn't want it to be like a sort of like costumey type place.
Okay.
Certainly, people come and they dress up. Lots of people knock on the door and want to say a password. But we sort of said we thought that for Kamloops and for our clients, I thought we just wanted to be casual and be modern, and because I think if you make it too much of a costume, then it's a one-time activity. It's a theme thing that you do once.
Yeah.
It's not a place that you come back to again.
Yeah, for me, I would. You say costumes, I'm here.
You should be here on Friday, costume bedecked.
Wait, what's the theme?
1920s. If you want to do the speakeasy thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Because I remember at one point it was located in the building next door, was it not?
Yeah, we had a coffee shop next door called Mustache and Go, and so we were operating, or we were doing Nigel's Nights in there when the space wasn't ready and licensed yet, because it had a license, and at that time we were entering through the back alley.
That's what I remembered. I came out to it one night, and I thought the alley entrance was a very cool touch.
Yeah, it was cool, and then actually that space for a little while, sort of in 2020, we had an event space in there that we called the Brodigan Library, and we were doing these like very small, like almost like house concert series, 60, 70 people, but it was a licensed space, and so we had some big names come through and do like acoustic sets and that sort of thing, and it was pretty cool, and then that sort of ended up but snowballing and sort of becoming the project that the Effie became.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
And then we were going to sort of roll Brodigan Library into when a stagehouse closed and take that lease over. And then Drew McLean, Aaron, and Kaylee came to me. I don't remember how we even connected in the first place. Drew called me up. He said, hey, like, we want to do something in this space. I said, great, go! And so they actually, when you go in the Effie, like their menu boards and all their coolers and all that stuff is all out of the old Mustache Brodigan Library space.
Oh.
So it just traveled across the street.
It's a small world.
Especially on the North Shore.
Yeah.
Bitters. Bitters are interesting to me from a cocktail perspective because most people, like, I only really have one. I've got the Angostura or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I once upon a time had orange bitters. And that's all I've ever had. How many have you got here?
I don't even think we have Angostura either. We stock ones from Rootside. They're based in Esquimalt.
Root beer bitters.
They've got root beer bitters, Cascadian bitters, coffee and cardamom bitters. We have their orange bitters. We have coffee bitters, cherry bitters, basil bitters, lavender bitters, all over the place. But basically, I like to think of them as like, you know, like when you're baking and you add vanilla?
Yeah.
They sort of round out everything. And so often if you have maybe a sweet element in a drink, you can add a little bit of bitter element. It's kind of like adding a little bit of complexity to whatever you have. And so often, what's a drink that we have? Actually, it was that yuzu margarita I was telling you about. It's finished with a little bit of lavender bitters. And we just drop one drop right on the top. And so when the drink comes out to you, get this like sort of smell of lavender. And then that really fades into that Earl Grey and then that yuzu flavor. And then with tequila, it's got a little bit of saltiness to it. And so you kind of end up with this like layering of flavor.
I would never think to mix all of those, but it does sound like it really would work.
Yeah, and we've had a few where we have one on the menu right now. It's called Daffodil Cats, that Cat made. And we literally had 3 different ingredients that we've had for a couple of years. We just really hadn't found a way to use any of the 3 in a way that we were really excited about. And so she decided to put all 3 together and just see how it went. And Hallie, who's she's probably the most full-time person that works here. She's awesome. She's got this bright green shock of hair, and she's got the wildest costume outfits. And she's very knowledgeable, but she says it's like biting into a green sunflower. Like if you think about like a sunflower out in like the field, and she's like, it's like biting into one, and it's explosive with like this green, sunshiny flavor, like a little bit of like chlorophyll almost, and it's awesome. Like it's just it's a wild drink, and so I think people get really excited because they look at all 4 ingredients. Like, I have no idea what any of that is, and then you explain it that way. We garnish it with a little bit of rose petals on the top, and again, you get sort of these flowery notes from it.
Wild.
Yeah.
So what is the process like in sort of when you sit down and say, I'm going to invent a cocktail. I'm going to come up with a cocktail right now. How do you start? How do you start kind of thinking about things?
I mean, I'm a big fan of the Mr. Potato Head approach, which is like, you know, you sort of start with this base classic recipe, and then you just sort of like pull an ear off and try a different ear, and take the hat off and try a different hat. We have a cocktail on the menu that's called the Banana Hammock 7. And that started with, we had 6 rather flamboyant young gentlemen in one night, and they were like, we love daiquiris. And I'm like, I love daiquiris. That's one of my favorite drinks. Like a classic daiquiri is just such a tasty drink. It shows off the rum so well. And so we just started working through like the different rums behind the bar, and we have one that's called Bumbu that's like almost like banana on steroids. Like it's just super sweet and almost like candy.
Oh, like the foam banana ones?
Am I allowed to show it? Is that a thing?
Yeah, I mean, let's avoid the label. Maybe.
Yeah.
Bumbu.
So Bumbu, and we ended up trying to modify it with different like classic is orange liqueur, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And so we did a couple different orange liqueurs, and then
I said like I know.
Yeah. Then we ended up using a grapefruit liqueur with a melon liqueur as a double thing, and then we were like, it's too sweet, and so then we ended up adding a very dry gin, which gave it like this really sort of botanical, aromatic, dried out flavor, and we were like, that's the one. But it was that table. I ended up having 7 daiquiris that night. Where it started from the first one. We just Mr. Potato Headed all the way through,
right?
And then they're like, that's the banana hammock, that's the one. And so, you know, and that's what's really fun is like at a cocktail bar, you can just come in and just say, hey, I'm really excited about this ingredient, tequila. I want 5 different things, bartender's choice, and then play around, and then you come back and what'd you like about it? What didn't you like about it? How can we change it?
Right.
I like that.
Yeah, and there's things like adding an egg white, where, you know, you can foam an egg white, and then it really lengthens all the flavors. And sometimes that works really good because you taste this nuance that you didn't taste before. Other times it does the opposite, where you're like, oh, that's a nuance I didn't want to taste. I think we have 3 flips on the menu right now, which actually use a whole egg. So they're like cold,
like white and yolk?
White and yolk, so it's like a cold eggnog made from scratch. We have one that tastes like a key lime pie, and it's got like graham crumble on the top. And then we have one that's called a fire ant, and it's based off of a grasshopper, which is like a 70s disco drink with white chocolate and peppermint and cream. And they're usually like super sweet and like, I don't know, they were a thing. I don't know why.
I
or
think
how.
I remember my parents talking about it. Yeah.
And so we really like that idea, but we found this Amaro, which is sort of like a bittersweet sort of like hunting wine. Like Jägermeister would be an Amaro, Campari's an Amaro, Aperol's an Amaro. And we found this Amaro out of Italy called Polly Vacamora, and it's like super minty. And then it's bright red. And so we thought we could build a flavor profile just pulling that mint out. And so it's like a grasshopper, but just like way more sophisticated.
Right.
And not overly sweet. It's sort of bittersweet. And so that has an egg yolk and cream in it. And it's a very cool dessert drink, but it also will wreck your palate. So we have people come in and they say, that looks really cool. We say, is this your only drink? No, I think I'm going to have a couple.
Okay.
Make that your last one, because if you have that, your palate's wrecked.
Right,
I would guess.
when you brush your teeth and then drink orange juice,
Exactly.
it's horrible.
Exactly.
So it'd be this,
Yeah.
same.
Is there any chance you can like mix something up for us while we're streaming, or is that asking too much?
You'd have to give me a minute to go and get ice.
Sure, I mean, I'll wait.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if you're not opposed to it.
Then we can sing that song called Ice Ice Baby.
No, we can't.
Dun,
We'd get a
dun, dun.
copyright strike.
I said mice baby.
That's-
If you hum it poorly,
If you hum it, yeah, it'd have to be hummed
Well, I do.
unrecognizably.
I do. That's what I'm good at.
All right.
I'm good at
Here we
bad
go.
singing. No.
all right.
Okay. You can sing.
How long do we go till 6?
Sorry.
How long do we go to?
One whole hour,
We'll
aren't
go
you
till
lucky?
6:30.
Oh, we have to go to an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
So talk slower.
Yeah. Get funny.
So now we're just waiting for an opportunity to sample a cocktail here at Nigel's. What?
Oh,
I'm filling. I'm
not
filling
all heroes
time.
wear capes. I'm glad you spoke up and asked. That's nice.
About what?
Having a little sample.
Yeah. Well, of course.
I'm too scared to ask.
Oh. Okay.
But I am thirsty for water. Maybe I can chew on an ice cube or something.
Maybe.
I'm gonna turn the camera around so
not,
you guys can
there's
see.
Not, yeah, give us a little tour, Kelsey. Show us around.
Quit talking over me. Okay.
Kelsey's going to take you on a little virtual tour here.
Okay.
While I snoop around.
How about you describe what I'm showing?
Right now you're showing me, I think.
Yeah. Still you.
I guess we're going to wander around here. You've got some, I don't know how much you're going to be able to see. It's very dark.
It's
down
very
here.
dark.
Very dark down here in Nigel's, but we got a little kind of a counter table here.
Yep.
With seat 6. We got a little 2-seater here.
Yep.
2-seater here.
Awesome
2-seater
painting.
here at the bar. It's a very cool painting back there. Yep. More pictures and posters, and then a nice sort of I kind of like the big chair there.
Yes, that's a chair.
Looks very comfy.
I like this.
Kelsey's a big fan of the painting.
I do, but I also like the
Oh, and
the neat little wall.
yeah.
And then look, it's Todd. Oh, and we have ice. Wow.
We're just
We did it.
taking the world on a little tour.
We did a
No
tour.
worries. You're gonna have to continue your tour. I can make something. Yeah. Okay. I forgot.
That's fine.
We
We
don't
can
have
do.
anything set up, so
Okay.
there's no citrus juice. There's no
Oh,
syrups.
right.
There's
Okay.
no ice.
So it's gonna be pretty bare bones.
So I think what I'll do is I'm gonna make a new drink that was on the menu starting last week. That is called. Where I have to find the specs for it. Look, I'm burning time,
You're burning time. That's what we want.
and it's called Kahlua Lasers.
Okay.
And so we use this 15-year-old Cuban rum. It's just got this sort of beautiful aroma.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Hallie and I were working on a drink together, or we were actually cleaning up upstairs the night before, and I was asking her for ice or something, and she goes, "Excuse me," and I repeat it, and "Excuse me," and she goes, "Kahlua Lasers?" And I'm like, that's not what I want. But if that's going to be a drink. So the next day we just said, let's figure out.
What goes into Kahlua Laser?
Yeah, exactly. And obviously with Kahlua, there's obviously a flavor profile there that we're going to go for. So that's
Right.
sort of like coffee liqueur. So I really like drinks like this where we kind of take some unconventional ingredients and and turn them into something that's sort of special. This is a pear liqueur.
Oh, interesting.
Pear.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah. And then, without saying the brand name, I'm using this very cheap fortified dessert wine that all the French hipsters drinks from the bottle.
Oh, wow.
And this
Wait,
is very...
I'm a French hipster, so that's what I have to buy?
Do you approve?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to have a taste of it on its own, it's probably the best way. But yeah, I would say no one thinks of this as like a sophisticated ingredient. And so I really like when we can take something like Malibu, for example, which is like not thought of as a sophisticated ingredient. And
I would drink that from a bottle.
turn it into something wild.
Yeah, with a straw maybe.
Yeah.
Can I drink
Can I
from
have
the
a
other?
little more?
Yeah. Or
Before you...
we're bad in the bar industry. We all like share glasses all the time.
Oh, that's fine. You could...
Yeah, COVID was.
I thought you were
hard
planning on
on all of
finishing it.
us.
No, I just wanted like another sip of it.
Did I add this? No, I didn't.
It tastes like fortified wine.
Yeah, and so it was actually Gin Lane downtown that used Dubonnet in a drink here when they did their takeover,
I love that.
and that was the first time that I was like, huh, wow, that's really interesting.
It's really warm. My belly button is so warm.
I need to see.
By the way.
I think that what I need might also be upstairs because I only have one bottle of it. And it's one of these things where you literally only use a bar spoon, which is...
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to try using this instead. Just because it won't be quite correct, but it'll be
Close enough.
close enough.
Close enough for live TV.
Yeah. And I should have been more prepared to... I didn't realize it was an hour. And
Yeah, that's
I
my
didn't realize I
bad.
was gonna
And
make
you didn't
cocktails.
realize...
So I'm supposed to be bartending upstairs right
Oh,
now.
I'm so sorry.
Yes, so I just thought it was like a 10-minute thing. So, but that's I didn't ask, and here we are. So my wife is covering for me.
I'm usually good about mentioning that part, but I guess I neglected this time. Embarrassingly.
Okay, no problem. So we're gonna stir this drink. Basically, the difference between shaking and stirring is typically whether or not there's citrus juice in it.
Right. Because shaking it's harder to mix when it's citrus juice. Egg is another thing that you would shake too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we like to use these metal on metal shakers. I can feel sort of how cold it is, and when you shake, you also add air. And so on the menu right now, we have the Vesper, which is the famous James Bond martini,
From
which is
Casino Royale.
yeah, shaken and not stirred. And what you're doing by doing that essentially is adding air to the drink. And so that's our Kahlua lasers.
Ah.
Kahlua laser.
And then we're gonna add chocolate bitters to the top. And so what bartenders do to taste, and we generally will taste every drink that goes out, so we always have a little
Oh, yeah.
handful of little straws, and then
Just to make sure it's up to standards.
make it sure up to standards. And
I thought you blow bubbles in their drinks. Can
Yeah.
you?
we could. I don't think the health inspector would love that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is there a way to maybe get a non-lung air to blow bubbles in it, as a finishing on a drink?
Yeah, I mean, we actually we have a soda siphon where we add CO2 and shake it, and we've done foams like that.
There you go.
Ah.
Or you could carbonate things. We've done a carbonated Negroni, for example. So you just pre-mix a Negroni, put it in the soda siphon, add the CO2, shake it up, and now you have a carbonated Negroni, or carbonated daiquiri would be really fun. But yeah, here, have a taste.
You want to go first? Or?
Yep.
Contains no Kahlua.
Which is odd for a Kahlua laser.
Yeah.
Should it be something different then? Coffee laser?
Hey.
Don't question the name conventions.
It's a different one. The chocolate bitters that are in there definitely, add a chocolate note. The rum is the strong flavor component. But yeah, I mean, that's 2.5 ounces of straight alcohol. And yeah, let's see what Todd thinks.
good.
Good.
It's good. It's the chocolate is pretty subtle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The ingredient that I'm missing from upstairs is it's from Ireland. It's called Shanky's Whip, and it's like it's sort of like a black liqueur, like a black Irish whiskey liqueur that's kind of sweet, and then has like a little bit more chocolate. So I think that I think without the Shankies, I'd almost add more chocolate maybe. But yeah, that's it.
Interesting.
You can get a little bit of the pear.
Oh man, I hardly even noticed the pear. Yeah, it's a little bit there, I guess.
The taste brought me back, and I don't know where it brought me back to. But you know how when you smell certain things, it's like, whoa, that reminds me of whatever.
Yeah.
That reminds me of
Something.
like high school. I must have had someone's parents really good.
Did you
alcohol.
accidentally invent the Kahlua laser in high school?
Maybe.
It was the old King's Cup. Everything was just poured in there, whatever you could find in various parents.
I was
liquor
drinking.
cabinets.
I was of drinking age in high school, just so you know. Just so we're not,
Of course.
you know.
Of course.
I don't know if you want to advertise that.
Well, I mean,
I was held back a really long time. Many years.
I mean, I'm trying to save.
Because of my drinking problem.
I wasn't underage drinking. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yes, of course not.
I'm trying to do PSA here.
So you were talking before about like how I want you to hold it for a while.
Oh.
The Mr. Potato Head approach.
Yeah.
Now, when you're sort of sampling and adjusting, are you sipping and spitting, or are you? No, you're. So how, do you ever find yourself with what seems like a really great idea at the end of your mixing process that the next day you're like, I wasn't of my right mind at that point.
Oh, I would, I'd say like better or worse working in the bar industry is I'd say you're like your tolerance is probably quite a bit higher than the average
that's
person.
fair. Yeah.
But you also, you like I find like you're just tasting stuff so regularly. But I mean, we waste lots of drinks. Like there's lots of drinks. There's an ingredient up there that's a blue curacao. So like everyone thinks about like Bull's blue. It's like bright blue and it's like super sweet and whatever. But it's actually it's just orange liqueur, but it's blue colored. And we had this idea that the Sons of Vancouver, the people who are coming up in a couple weeks to do the bar takeover, they do these April Fool's Day releases, which are kind of like making Malibu. They made a version of Malibu, but they made it like 40% and made it really, really well. They also did a blue curacao that was like 40%. We still have a bunch of it. And so it was a very unique liqueur. They had like Ceylon tea in it. They had mace in it. Like they had a lot of complexity added to the blue curacao. And so we were trying to find ways to use it in a drink. And I had this idea. I was like, yeah, we're gonna do an egg white drink. It's gonna be blue. It's gonna have these things in it, and it should probably be rum based. I'm like, yeah. This is like I'm on it. And I shake it up, smell it. Oh, that smells good. Put the straw in. Yeah. Do I want to add anything? No, I don't think so. Go to pour it out, and once the egg white and the blue and the rum had mixed together, it was now this like turgid, green, disgusting color. And it tasted quite good, but we were like, we cannot serve that to anybody unless possibly they're blind. And then they might enjoy it a lot, but
maybe for a fun like Halloween creepy vibe.
You could call it the Slimer.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we've done some crazy things.
The snot glass, like a shot glass, but snot glass. Can you hire me to make up names? I like puns.
You can volunteer for sure,
Okay.
but I'd say none of us make enough money to hire anybody.
Yeah, my ideas are expensive.
But it's sometimes they don't work out, and for whatever reason, or sometimes you seem to get like the proportions just right, and you think it's awesome, and then you try to get other people to repeat it because we need every bartender to be able to make the drink the same.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, you'll have a drink where it's like, oh, Hallie, she makes that drink perfect, and I just can't make it happen, and especially with stuff that's like very, has subtle steps or something like that, that can be hard to train. And so, But I'd say there's lots of mistakes. There's lots of ideas that seem like they're really going to go somewhere, and they don't. And often it's playing off like flavors of bitter and sweet.
Right.
Tart is that it'll be too tart or too bitter or too sweet, or and then maybe it's too sweet, so you try to overcome by adding bitter, and now it's just too much. It's like not flavorful anymore. Or you know, too sweet is often like that's the thing that you try to avoid.
I would think so. I find sweet can be pretty overpowering.
Yeah, but sweet is also what gives the drink body, and so a lot of times we'll have a drink that we're like, oh, the flavors just really work, but just it's too sweet, we can't make it work, and then you cut the sugar back, or you cut back one of the sweet ingredients, and it just doesn't quite work. But I'd say that's also the difference between like really high end like pear liqueurs versus, you know, bowls or something like that. Is like it's just the sugar content. Like the really high end fruit liqueurs are usually made from a brandy base, and then it's just brandy macerated with that fruit for like a long period of time.
Right.
And so it's not nearly as sweet, and you get that like pungency and that aroma to a much higher degree. Whereas like something like bowls is like, you know, essential oils and artificial flavors with sugar and, you know. But once again, one of the things that makes cocktails expensive. So we do flat pricing for our drinks, so every drink is $15.
Okay.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and I think like anybody who comes from a bigger city, they say, how do you do this? Like,
Yeah,
that drink
for sure.
in the city would be $25.
It probably helps that you're with another business upstairs. So,
Exactly,
yeah,
and like I say, like the speakeasy isn't a real business. It's open one day a week for half of the year. You know,
Yeah.
We don't have any staff, we don't have any overhead, we don't have any of those things, and so, and I think even for Kamloops, you know, like we've never had anybody say that $15 was too expensive, but you know, you got to think it's like, you know, that's an ounce and a half of a 15-year-old rum.
Yeah.
For $15, it's a pretty good price.
But you're also a pro, and you're putting all your brain power into it, and you're an artist in a way as well. And
Totally.
It's unique. So
It's
I
unique.
think it's well worth it.
So, I mean, talking about this as not really being a separate business, because as you said, half a year, one night a week, it feels almost more like a passion project. Which
Totally.
is,
Yeah. It's definitely like similar. Like starting Redbeard 10 years ago I was really into craft beers. I guess I still am. But it was like I wanted to taste every beer I could get my hands on, and that seemed like the best way to do that was open a bar that I could just order all the beers I wanted, and then I could try them.
Smart.
And this is definitely this, where and there's certainly bottles behind this bar that are expensive and weird and rare, and you know, that they would make no sense, but I order them because I want them.
Yeah.
And I want to try it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, being able to encourage other people to help pay for your hobbies is kind of brilliant. It's kind of what we're doing with TELUS, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a good way to live your life.
Yeah.
Why not? And it's lots of fun. I mean, man, when it's busy and I'm bartending and I'm shaking up a storm and like, oh, it's so much fun. Like, it's like playing a video game or something. Like, it's like things going on.
There should be a bartending video game.
Yeah.
Like,
there probably is.
I know
Sims,
that.
maybe.
I don't know about a bartending one. I know that there's a brewery video game. There's a brewery
interesting.
simulation.
Actually?
Yeah, you can like start with like the water and the hops and everything else, and like make your different beers. I haven't tried it, but it's on my wish list of games to buy, to be honest.
Well, I've never been like a video game person. I don't know, it just never happened for me. I guess I wasn't allowed to do it as a kid, and then I moved out and I didn't have a computer for the first
and
5 or 6
that's why you
years.
turned to alcohol.
Yeah, and exactly. I was too busy going to raves or something.
Yeah, exactly.
And I just never, so I never got into it. But the one video game that I did get play for a while, I got really obsessed with was a public transit simulator.
Oh, really?
Where I would make transit systems. I'd be like, this is where the bus is going to go, and with this frequency, and this is the type of bus that I'm in. Then it'd be like you generate fares, and then you'd be like,
That does sound like a you kind of video game.
invest in maintenance facilities, and I was obsessed for a little while there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you've got a mind for kind of city planning and city relevant stuff as well, so that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, very much so.
Sorry.
That's good.
And
Go ahead.
that's urban. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of all this stuff actually started from. I moved here from London, England, and there was a lot of things about London.
You really lost the accent.
I grew up in Edmonton, so it was London by way of Edmonton by way of London. I don't know.
Oh, you're from London.
And
London.
just a couple years, but I was a bike courier there, which is like one of the coolest jobs I've ever had. It's like one of those things is if money was no object, if you didn't actually have to make money to survive, it's like I would go be a bike courier in London. But unfortunately, that's a job that's disappeared with the internet, you know. And it's funny to think that I'm not that old, but I was probably right at the tail end of, you know, bike courier still being a job.
There was lots of that when I lived in Vancouver. Like, they would go to job sites with the plans and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And but all that is just internet based now, and so. And I think that especially accelerated with COVID, because now you can sign legal documents online, you can do all that. And so, yeah, I mean, I used to do things like run from one KPMG office to the other, and they'd give you like this big, like, it was like almost like chainmail like bag, and it was locked, you know, so it was like what's in there. It's
super security.
Yeah, exactly. And you would, and I had a contract for a while where I was delivering iPhones. Like, phones in the UK is like, let's say you have a business phone, I drop my phone on the ground and I break it. Is that they have a thing where they'll replace your phone within an hour, and everything's stored on the SIM card. So I would literally just bike over to someone who'd broken their phone, take the SIM card out, put in a new SIM card, give them the new phone, bike away.
Wow.
And so it was a cool little service, but I was just like riding around London with 100 iPhones in my backpack every day, just like
kind of like shady.
Yeah, it was the only thing. I don't want to get. I like. There was always the concern of like, oh, I don't want to get robbed. That would suck. But So anyways, is. There was a purpose to coming from. And so I moved to Kamloops, and there's a lot of things I love about Kamloops. Like, I'm big into the outdoors, so I love like the proximity to the mountains. I like that we're sort of a smaller city where you can really get to know people really quickly.
Yes.
I like that you can be so involved, and you know, I think when I started Redbeard and Brew Loops, for example, like I was 24 or 25 when we started Brew Loops, and I was like, yeah, let's close a street, rent a Ferris wheel, and have 1,000 people out for a beer party.
You started that?
Yeah. And it was actually started right in this basement. This is where our first meetings were. Was right here.
Did you know that?
Yes.
Oh. Did you tell me that? Did I not?
I may not have told you that.
I didn't get the memo. I didn't know that.
There was a board of people that we worked together to sort of start it, but it was me and Megan Summers from the Noble Pig were the first two chairs of the board, and I very much wanted to do a beer festival, and a couple of Rotaries at the time were saying, well, everywhere else has a beer, you know, we need one, and I said, I don't want to do the like little 4-ounce cup in a convention center room. I want to do something that's like fun and brings a bit of the big city. And so let's pedestrianize the street for the day, and let's have people outside and see how it goes. And I remember a lot of city councilors and stuff coming in, they're like, wow, feels really great. And I'm like, it's amazing. You get rid of cars, you serve some people some beers in public area, and everyone's having a great time. Turns out the math is not that complicated.
It's good for other businesses downtown too.
Exactly, yeah. And so, we everything sort of about those years when I came to Kamloops was Peter Millibar was actually the mayor at the time, and he had said to me that, you know, if you want to see change in your community, you got to go out and be the change. You got to go out there and be the person who starts the projects, who gets people going, who gets them excited about something. And that's what you got to do. And so I just, okay, let's do it. So I spent a couple years trying to find a place to open a tap house, which ended up becoming Redbeard. And
why did you decide this location?
Well, partly was like convincing someone to rent to a 25-year-old was not as easy as you might think. We had a few different locations in town that we got close to signing on, and then the landlord would meet me and they'd be like, I'm not renting my building to a 25-year-old kid. And look at me now.
Yeah, sucker.
And but it's touch and go every few years. I swear. Like, man, 2020 hit, and it was just like, ah. And
Yeah. Holy cow, that's 4 years ago already.
Yeah, and so that's what we keep doing. And whether it's the speakeasy or it's Brew Loops events or it's trying to get things like the Effie started or opening Bright Eye. Working with property developers to try to develop underdeveloped lots here, to participating, and I got to work on this workforce housing project down the street, so building rent-controlled apartments for people who work in things like restaurants,
I think I heard about that.
So I just try to find a way to just get involved in just what I believe is improving our community as much as I can.
I mean, in that regard, do you have? Is there anything upcoming that you've got your fingers in that you can share or?
I keep saying that I'm never going to do anything else, that I just only want to go skiing and rock climbing now.
Right.
And I do that quite a bit, but I really like, I'd really like to build a building. I've been involved in construction for a while. We built this net zero fourplex over on Schubert a couple of years ago with Miles from Nextbuild, and we built some of the first laneway houses in Kamloops. But one of the things that I'd like to do is I really like old timey little buildings. Like, they're just cute and cool, and so I'd really like to build like a brick building myself with my own hands. That's like old timey.
Oh, cool.
And then open a bookshop in it, like a new bookshop. We have some great used bookstores in Kamloops, but Chapters is basically a gift store now. Yeah, and I think, Golden sustains a good bookstore. Quesnel sustains a good bookstore. Prince George has 2. Kelowna has 4. And I'm not sure why that's missed us so far, but that's one of the things I'd like to do. I think that nightlife in our city has been suffering for a long time. It keeps getting worse. But I think part of that is because the nightclub model's dead. People don't, A, people drink way less.
Yeah, we've been hearing that too.
Yeah, B, liability is way up, like your insurance, all the things that you take on. Because of how expensive alcohol is now, people come to the club either drunk already or high. Party drugs have really taken over that scene. People go to raves in the bush, it's way cheaper. And so, nightlife really suffers. And so, I think there's even components of the Me Too movement or just people's different gender and sexual identities, is that idea of dudes and girls going to the bar to get drunk and fumble around in the dark to find a potential partner. No one wants to do that anymore. We've got the internet for that. People feel uncomfortable in that situation. It leads to all kinds of problems. So I think the future of nightlife to me is something more like B&A Brewing in Kelowna, which has got a bowling alley and an arcade.
Okay.
And so it's you don't have to be on the prowl. You can just go out with friends and participate in this activity and have some food and have some drinks. And so
I could find a husband with my bowling skills.
Exactly.
Oh.
So I'd really like to build a new, fun, exciting bowling alley somewhere on the North Shore. My biggest thing is I'll build it and I'll invest in it, but I don't want to run it. I think I run enough things, or I'm busy enough. But if we ever found that person that was the right person to do that.
It seems like you're old school. You like things back in the olden days.
Yeah, it's funny to be streaming because I hate the internet and I actively avoid anything to do with it. And we have a lot of people who, I go in to sign things and they go, you can do this online. And I'll be like, I don't know how. And they're like, I'll show you. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I actively don't know how. I choose
not to know.
I choose not to know.
Yeah. I don't know how to use Microsoft Word.
And
Todd knows that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things that are best done, analog, and I think
we could touch it.
Digital stuff is great in a lot of ways. It's, digital things have brought us a lot of benefits and convenience. But I think with a lot of that convenience, we've lost a lot of things. I think I see it in the restaurants and the bars all the time.
Everyone's ignoring each other.
Everyone's ignoring each other, but people show up late all the time. And I think, even 15 years ago, if I said, hey, we're going to meet up at 6 at this place, that was the last time I was going to talk to you for 2 weeks until we actually had to be at that place at 6 in 2 weeks. And then you just were there. And now what happens is you go, I'm supposed to meet that person at 6, but it's 4, I got a bit of time, maybe I'll run this errand, and then you get and then you say, oh, hey, I'm just running a little late, and that person's like, oh, well, that person's running late, I'll just fit this, and all of a sudden it's 7:30, and I can't make it. And then, so people I think there's societally, we're all becoming a little flaky because it's so convenient to just try to maximize every minute of every day. And there's just no slack in that system. And so I think that's contributing to people being socially disconnected. It's not just the social media itself, it's just our habits of meeting up with friends, of planning things.
because we're always in contact anyway, so it's not like we have to really I'll just talk to you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, and we did have 2 years as well of just getting used to not being allowed to leave the house, really, and sort of create new social methods, whether it is through like, I remember I wasn't a part of the group at the time, but like, I was distantly connected to, like I mentioned, Brandon's group at the time.
Yeah.
That had to go through the process of transitioning that game to an online system where they do it via Zoom or Skype or whatever. And now, once you've done that transition, they're pretty much still doing it that way now, even though you could meet in person. So we've created this world where we've had to put these systems in place, and now we just sort of stick with them because it's what we've been doing all along. Not all along, but.
Yeah, and so I'm definitely a big fan of like we should be doing more old timey things, whether it's old timey buildings or old timey drinks,
or
No, I agree.
just seeing people in person, or having conversations with people who aren't just like you, who are disagreeing with things.
But that's why I like your little space here. You got all these eclectic lamps and stuff, and it is a mix of vintage and quirky and
it looks way better when it's really dark though.
It's just not great.
so do we.
Yeah.
But it's nice to take a break from like the modern futuristic crap that we're seeing all the time. It's nice to it's like a time machine. I feel like I'm in the 30s, 40s, 70s.
Yeah. I definitely think coming to the dark basement, especially when it's loud, so there's like those sort of like sensory inputs, and then you have a couple drinks. I definitely think that a lot of people they come upstairs and they're walking to the restaurant to leave, and they go,
Oh yeah.
I forgot I was in Kamloops.
You're right. It does. There's a sense of like almost like a refuge down here. Like everything is so closed in and closed off, and it just feels like almost like safe.
Yeah.
Safe and warm and like absorbed and.
Everything outside of this room, like when you're in it, kind of ceases to exist.
Yeah. I can get that vibe for sure.
Sorry, did you want some? It's gone now.
It's gone now. Yeah.
Just
Put it in the dishwasher?
Yeah.
So we got about 7 minutes to go.
Okay.
Do you have any dad jokes? Are you a dad?
I'm not a dad.
Oh, okay, then you probably don't have any.
Yeah, I've been an aspiring dad for a while, but
Okay.
it just hasn't happened, unfortunately.
Alright,
But,
well, that's nice to know.
Yeah.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, it was funny for me and my wife, is like she really likes working, and so we were sort of like, we were both sort of open to having kids, but neither of us were super motivated, and I didn't even know I had that gender bias, and then suddenly a friend of ours, the dad became the stay-at-home dad, and I was like, I could be a stay-at-home dad. That sounds awesome. I love cooking. I love like hanging around the house. Like I love reading, and my wife loves going to work. And all of a sudden, it was like, we could do this.
Hey.
And now it's suddenly more exciting to have kids.
Yeah, and all of a sudden, it's like for 3 years now, we've been like, yeah,
let's do this.
Let's do this. Although I have to admit, after 3 years, the excitement
I guess
not quite the same. But yeah, such is life. But I have no shortage of things that bring me meaning and drive excitement in my life.
Totally, I can see that. It
Yeah.
seems like you don't ever work a day in your life because everything you do is something that you enjoy.
Ooh, I take issue with that actually.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So, in my, I think we have about like 100-ish staff between all the businesses, and I'd say the vast majorities are 25 or younger. And a lot of people have been told that if you do what you love for a living, you'll never work a day in your life. And I actually think that's completely not true. I see a lot where what the people do is they take what they love and they turn it into their job. And now it's a chore.
Mm-hmm.
And now the thing that they did that they loved that helped them release stress is the cause of their stress.
Could be.
And I see that happen a lot, and then people burn out because what they do is they love, in the beginning, they love what they're doing so much that the job is asking for 40 hours a week, but they're working 70 because they're just so excited, and they put so much of themselves into it, and then anything becomes a job, and you do it for 5 or 6 years, and I mean, I still love my job, but thankfully, I came into this. I started working in restaurants when I was 12, so I knew starting a restaurant. I knew
Is that legal?
It was at the time.
Oh.
I think it should be again. I mean, I think it was like I learned to dishwash, and and
at 12.
yeah, and it was great. And so I always knew what the reality of this job was. So I came into it as a job. Whereas a lot of people, I think, especially opening restaurants, get this idea of like, oh, it's so romantic. I'm gonna make recipes. And it's like, no. What you're actually gonna do is wake up at 8 in the morning because the cooler's broken, and then you're gonna like clean up crap for 3 hours, and then you're gonna make your 9,000th chicken sandwich of the week, and it's the same every single time. And you're like, ooh, I got this idea. I'm gonna put stir anise in the tomato jam this week. And then 3 people complain like, this is horrible, it used to be better, and you go like, I thankfully knew coming into it, what the job was. But a lot of people, they turn what they love into a chore. They lose the thing that was what gave them a release from their day-to-day, job. And so my dad always told me, it's like, get a job that pays for what you love. So that, remember that it's a job. And it doesn't mean you should hate your job.
No.
Ideally, you find one that you sort of like. But remembering that it is a job, but it's what affords you to do all the things that you really love.
Yeah.
And also what you love changes. As you become older and as you change and your interests change, something that you thought was awesome at 23, like 23-year-old Mitch was like raving. Raving is awesome. That's all. Like, I wouldn't want to go to a rave for anything now. Like, you could be like, I got tickets to Shambhala, and I'll pay you $1,000 an hour to be there. And I'd be like, I don't think so. And so, you grow up, you change, and so, my advice is definitely, like, I'm lucky, I am very much, I get to, like, see something that seems exciting and pursue it. But I definitely do it as with this idea that, like, this is the job, and this is a thing that you're going to have to do day in and day out, and not with this idea of, like, oh, I'm avoiding working. It's always going to be work. And I was here until midnight last night, and I was back here at 7:30 this morning with a broken cooler, so...
All right, I'll take back my... Yeah.
I didn't mean to
but
be,
the creative part where you make new drinks.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
fun.
Exactly. Well, and especially I think that's why this project, the Nigel's Cocktail Part project, is so fun, is that it's one night a week for half the year.
Yeah, you don't burn out.
Yeah, but if I was down here 3 nights a week with the loud music and the dark, and if I was doing that all year, I definitely think that would get pretty old.
Yeah.
It's just enough that it's like a treat.
Yeah, exactly.
Balance is key.
Yeah.
Whoa. Whoa. See, I have dad jokes.
Nicely done. So yeah, 2 minutes. Anyone you want to say hello to? Kelsey likes to end on, say hello to your mom or something.
Hi, your mom.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think she's watching.
That's sad.
She can watch later. It'll live on YouTube after this.
Mom,
so.
why are you watching?
I think she's seen me on TV enough times.
Oh.
She's not interested anymore.
She knows all the things that I say. She's like, and she hates how I never answer a question straightforwardly. She finds watching my interviews really challenging because I'll be asked a question and then I'll go on an 8-minute tangent about something completely unrelated and then forget what the question was.
See, we love that though.
We love that.
It helps fill the hour. So
Yeah.
long tangents are our bread and butter, honestly.
Yeah.
So it's but if anyone is interested in coming down, we've got 5 nights of the week left. You can follow us on Instagram at Nigel's Cocktails. We'll be back next fall, God willing, and
even when Nigel's isn't running, there's Redbeard upstairs for a beer or a cider or a coffee or
and we have 16 cocktails on the menu upstairs normally.
Oh, really? Excellent.
And, they're generally a little simpler than the ones down here because there's a few where I didn't work a couple weeks ago and I came back and I left a new menu, and Kat says to me, she's like, "What the hell, Mitch? There was 14 ingredients in that, and the largest one was a 1/4 ounce." It's like it took 8 minutes to make one drink, but it was so good, right? And she's like, "Well, I didn't make one for myself." So it's we upstairs we try to make them sort of like patio friendly, a little taller, because the average drink size down here is sort of 6-7 ounce drink, and because they're generally pure booze, and upstairs there's a little bit of mix, not much, maybe just 2 ounces, but brings it from a 6 ounce drink to a 9 or 10 ounce drink.
Yeah,
that was a good drink.
Yeah, awesome.
All right, well, I think we're good to wrap it up. Thank you so much.
Of course.
In spite of us dropping the hour surprise on you.
Yes, sorry, no
so,
worries.
I appreciate that you were able to hang out for an hour, and we should let you go and get back to your duties. So, thank you so much.
Thank you, and I think I talked to you again in a couple weeks about brew loops.
About brew loops, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's April 27th.
Oh!
Yeah. Well,
Now I remember.
We'll talk again
It's
soon.
coming back.
Yeah.
We need our mic though. You can't take it.
No, I think I don't.
If
have
I
any
see it on
use for
Kijiji tomorrow,
one. Free.
I know.
Free. That doesn't do anything without the receiver in. So.
Oh, I know. I remember there was a divorce in town once. That
There was a divorce in town
well,
once.
there's been
Many.
obviously many, but I remember that the one partner really wanted the house.